Houston is full of incredible art, from mural walls to museums and everything in between. Hey there, I'm KHU 11 digital anchor Brandy Smith, and I'm going to take you to some colorful and creative hidden gems in our area. But first, I am always looking for new hidden gems to explore. So if you have a place I should check out, email me. I'm at bsmith@khou.com. Just let me know where it is and what makes it special. If you're an art buff, you've probably paid a visit to the Museum of Fine Arts Houston. This gem is very much out in the open, but if you haven't been since it unveiled the Nancy and Rich Kinder building, you have to check it out. The massive addition features 3 floors of galleries circling a 3-story atrium, a 200-seat theater, and a restaurant overlooking the sculpture garden. But the footprint of MFAH extends beyond the museum district. The home at 1406 Kirby looks like so many of its River Oaks neighbors. With its gated driveway, sprawling garden, and breathtaking facade.
I'm deeply fond of it.
But this house has a name.
Rienzi.
And a purpose.
When people come here, it's a sort of quick trip to Europe, which I think is a really wonderful thing to be able to give to Houstonians.
Rienzi opened to the public in 1999. It is one of 2 home museums for the Museum of Fine Arts Houston.
Well, House Museum is exactly what you would think. It is a museum that was a house, is a house, was owned and lived in by our collectors, Harris and Carol Sterling Masterson. When they passed away, it was given as a gift to the museum.
Not just the house, but also the exceptional art collection within its walls.
The collectors were particularly interested in European art and decorative arts. And when I say decorative arts, I mean porcelain, furniture, silver, anything that you sort of live with, that people lived with in the past, they also collected.
Collected and lived with. Each room, from the master bedroom to the dining room to the, yes, ballroom, is filled with the collection's pieces.
I think because they lived here, lived in this house, the house still feels like people scale, and it is a very happy house.
A legendary River Oaks party house, now a unique museum setting. One you could almost imagine living into.
Don't we wish everybody could?
The other MFAH house museum is over at Bayou Bend Collection and Gardens. To get there, you have to cross this bridge. Then you can explore 14 acres of amazing gardens that surround the former home of Houston philanthropist Ima Hogg. For information about visiting any of these spaces, visit mfah.org. Now, if you'd like to check out some art for free, local university campuses are loaded with pieces. For example, you can visit the Twilight Epiphany Sky Space at Rice University, no charge. At sunrise and sunset, artist James Terrell programmed the LED lights to put on a groundbreaking visual experience. The public art collection has so much more to offer. So do the buildings themselves. Let me show you around with the help of Greg Marshall, the Director of Community Relations.
I get to welcome people to Rice.
A lot of tours, I bet.
A lot of tours.
Greg was kind enough to take me on one around a campus peppered with lots of surprises. Let's start at the start. What is now called Lovett Hall.
It's the first building built on the Rice campus.
The focal point here is called the Sallyport, this archway. You could spend an entire day examining all of the intricate stonework done by one man, Oswald Lassig. But keep an eye out and up for the freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. Just down the courtyard is Anderson Hall. If you've ever taken a tour of campus, you've probably made a stop at the Frog Wall. And if you've never taken that tour and are wondering, why do they call it that? Well, that's why.
Students came along and realized if you run your finger down the hole, it makes a kind of a Bronx cheer kind of sound. I've heard it described as the frogs that they might have had on campus at one point.
From making sound to making gold, this is an enigma, a kind of riddle used by alchemists that purports to decree the recipe to make gold. Symbols are also an important feature on Duncan Hall. Built in 1996, the architect described his idea for the home of the Rice University Electrical and Computer Engineering program as a spaceship just touched down, but ready to take off at any moment. It is definitely out of this world. One of so many buildings here with stories and secrets.
People are very attached to the architecture.
So this isn't exactly a hidden gem, but it is a really cool feature. All of the bricks used in Rice buildings, they come from the same quarry in Louisiana, and this is known as the Rice palette. These aren't painted. It's the natural. Even during the summer months, the main campus of the University of Houston is buzzing with activity. Students and staff walk the trails through tree-lined courtyards, sometimes not even acknowledging the public art they pass.
It's accessible to everybody, and there is no barrier.
The newest installation is going in here, adding to what started in 1969 when U of H became the first state agency with a public art collection. Some pieces blend in with the architecture, others were meant to stand out.
The focus has always been international, modern, and contemporary art.
You can see the full permanent collection on the Public Art Department's website, and even see each individual piece.
I think that that's a very unique opportunity and experience.
This is one of the pieces you really need to see in person because the appearance of it changes with every angle.
People who travel from all over the world to come and see it, and it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite pieces.
Other highlights include The Angel's Key by Texas artist Dorothy Hood.
She was really at the forefront of American modernism.
Jim Sanborn's A,
He was really inspired by the diversity of our student body and faculty and staff, and so he wanted to bring that in and fold that into his work.
Here by Sarah Brayman.
She is known for works that appropriate ready-made materials and objects.
Odile Donald Odita's Negative Space.
You really need to experience it by walking through it.
And another Texas artist's work. Luis Jimenez made Fiesta Jarabe out of painted fiberglass.
All of these artists have super interesting stories.
Stories you can learn about with a trip to the University of Houston.
You just hop on over, park, and here you are.
The campus itself is beautiful. We have rolling hills, we have lots of trees.
Mixed in with the green of nature and brick of the buildings are pops of color.
We have a lot of beautiful art for people to look at, forms and colors and shapes and things to make them think about art while they're walking around. Sort of like an outdoor museum.
Michael Henderson is chair of the arts department at Sam Houston State University, which is based in the new Dana G. Hoyt Fine Arts Building.
This area of campus is now sort of the arts quadrant. We're across the street from the Performing Arts Center and the theater, and just near the music building.
Fittingly, you can find art in and around that area and beyond.
We have a lot of art that's been acquired in the past few years as campus has grown a lot, and we've been able to purchase things with public art fund money.
There are a number of pieces on campus from Houston artists, including this one. This installation is by Dan Phillips, and if it looks familiar, that's because he's one of the artists behind Smither Park.
We focused on purchasing art by artists who have a Texas connection in most cases.
The pieces give passersby, students, teachers, parents, reason to wander and wonder.
The art is like punctuation marks that give you something to think about and look at.
It's a reminder that the art scene here has much more to offer than just the iconic Sam Houston statue we all know.
There's a lot of art in the town also, and there's a lot of artists.
The time of day you visit can change how some of those installations look. This one at the Fred Perkel building lights up different colors at night. So cool. Okay, you heard me mention Smither Park a minute ago. Even if you've never been, you've likely seen it on social media because it is one of the most photographed spots in the city, and it's easy to see why. This Houston Park is one of a kind.
It's Houston's first art park.
Here, the normally mundane is ornate. Tables, pillars, light poles, all covered in mosaics.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of different little pieces.
At Smither Park, even the sidewalks are works of art.
It has an essence of Gaudi, mixed with the diversity and the colorfulness that is Houston. It is built by the people, for the people.
And it is still very much a work in progress.
We have artists coming out here every weekend who are continuing to adorn the space with mosaics.
You really want to look at the details here, the materials used to create these mosaics. Anything from shells to dishes to stones and so much more.
Basically anything that people are discarding, we've taken and incorporated it into the sculptures here.
Jonathan Beitler works for the Orange Show Center for Visionary Art, a nonprofit that serves as a hub for Houston's folk art scene. It's the same group that organizes the Art Car Parade and operates the iconic Beer Can House. It brought together the more than 300 artists
who came here to basically build a beautiful mosaic park for the community.
Smither Park features several nooks, the memory wall, a pavilion, and an amphitheater.
It's certainly a focal point of the park. It allows us the opportunity to have concerts, movies, poetry readings, dance performances. We do a whole slew of programming here throughout the year.
And it's open from dawn to dusk every day.
Come have a picnic, bring your friends, bring your phone, take some photos, and really enjoy this piece of beauty right here in Houston.
The same organization that oversees Smither Park is in charge of preserving Houston's Beer Can House.
This is the work of a man named John Milkovich. He was a working class dude. He was an upholsterer for the Southern Pacific Railroad. And this is what he did as a pastime.
A pastime that took a lot of time, decades actually, to transform this into this.
What he told friends was he got sick of mowing the lawn and he got tired of painting the house, so he covered his lawn with concrete, studded with marbles and rocks. And then it just spread from there.
Neighbors must have thought he'd lost his marbles
Something his wife Mary liked to joke about.
when he started lining his house with flattened beer cans.
He would do it one row at a time while his wife Mary was away working at the cosmetics counter at Foley's. Like she wasn't gonna notice if he did it slowly.
Though the color's fading, you can still make out some of the brands. Texas Pride, Buckhorn, Shiner, Falstaff. Non-flattened versions of the cans are on display inside the house, along with John's work desk and tools.
If you go inside, you will see things like all of the original fixtures and hangings, the original paint colors. It's like a little time capsule in there.
All the details preserved, even the tile he hand-cut.
You know, for him, this wasn't any kind of highfalutin conceptual art. He was just a guy doing something in his spare time.
John never considered it art, but the Orange Show does.
We preserve these kinds of visionary art environments. We see value in a place like this where others might not.
The nonprofit knows you might not visit the Beer Can House for its art.
But secretly, you're enjoying art while you're here, even if you don't realize it.
Just as John likely never realized his pastime would mesmerize generations of Houstonians.
For a guy like that who really just wanted to enjoy his life in his backyard and have a good time, for him to leave something like this behind, I just think it's so cool and wonderful.
The Orange Show organizes the Art Car Parade every spring in Houston. It always draws a crowd just to see what crazy creations artists can come up with and drive. Once the parade wraps up, though, some of those cars end up in the Heights at a very special museum. The Art Car Museum owns about 20 of the cars and displays a handful at a time, along with more traditional fine art. Anne and Jim Herithis wanted people to be able to see art cars year-round, so they opened the museum in 1998. That was just a couple years after a downtown Houston icon opened its doors. Notesuo is part cafe, part bar, part art show. Not just unique, not just bizarre. This is Notesuo.
Some people will see Houston backwards right away, and sometimes people are like, what does that mean? When we were looking at the history of Houston, we saw the Notesuo Festival, carnival that was around from 1899 to the start of the First World War. So we're like, well, Houston, we love history, this is history, let's call it Notesuo.
It is a downtown Houston bar and a kind of art gallery, a place for conversation or to see a new band, where you can grab a drink and soak up the history.
The building was built in 1893.
This incredible space really got its start because Jim just wanted to be able to hang out somewhere and play chess.
Jim was playing chess at a coffee shop, and they told him to leave because they needed to turn tables.
I wanted to get a building where I could live above it and then have my coffee shop below it.
And we started thinking, how much does a building cost? Just curious, and they ended up being the cost of a house.
When Jim Pirtle and Missy Bosch found 314 Main Street in 1995,
We broke in.
they saw potential.
We really wanted to preserve it. We saw all these buildings that were boarded up and being decaying.
The then couple tracked down the owner and made a deal.
Said, how much? He said, how about 20,000? I said, oh, all right. And I took out my teacher in retirement and bought the building.
I was so proud of the fact that my son owned a building on Main Street.
That was 26 years ago.
It started with one idea that changes and keeps evolving and evolving and evolving.
This is the current incarnation, one that brings the family and the building full circle.
My mother worked here in the 20s, and she worked upstairs, and they would deliver the money, and then she'd send the change back down.
John's mother is Jim's grandmother.
And then my daughter started bartending here when she was about 18.
Which means 4 generations of the Pirtle family spent their lives here, the stories of which are told through Jim's creations.
I'm an artist, and a lot of my art is about memory.
It really is a wonderful statement of who she was.
This booth, for example, pays homage to his mother.
Anne was crazy about elephants. We've been all over the world, and she's sought elephants everywhere. Even in Alaska, she found one.
Every piece has a story, which the staff is happy to share with curious visitors.
A lot of Houston is tear down and rebuild, and I think even from the beginning we understood that, no, we're gonna not do that.
Instead, Notesuo is building on downtown's history.
I'm very proud of it, and I know my daughter is too.
Still carrying on the tradition.
I have one more place to show you, Lucky Land Chinese Amusement Park, where you can check out art that is thousands of years old.
We at Lucky Land.
It is easy to tell
We started about,
that this is Nita Lee's
let's see,
passion.
2014
That's when she and her husband began assembling her dream.
to bring all the stuff.
The stuff came from what used to be the Forbidden Gardens in Katy. When it shut down, Lee brought many of the items to this 2-acre plot.
I just said, this is the treasure. I have to save it.
The adventure at Lucky Land begins before you really even walk through the gates with all of these 3D rooms, places where you can take photos that really stretch the imagination, and then you can share them on social media.
We have all kind of happiness, all kind of how old are you? You will enjoy over here.
Beyond the gate, you can hop on a rickshaw for a quick roll around the park.
We preserve everything.
To see the Panda Garden, the Kung Fu statues, the Happy Buddhas, and the models of the Forbidden City and the Terracotta Army.
They see all the culture that another side of the world. And I believe that if people, they know the culture like their neighbor. If you know your neighbor, you know how they do, how they're living, and then you can be friends.
It's a message that may be more important now than ever before.
I'm so proud.
For Nita, Lucky Land is a way to connect with her Houston neighbors, and for those neighbors to learn a little bit about the rich history of her culture.
I come here every day. I'm so happy and exciting.
I've only shown you a few of the Houston area's hidden gems. There are dozens more. You can watch all the other segments on our KHU11 YouTube page or via the free KHU11 Plus apps on Fire TV and Roku. They all have this playlist, Living in the Lone Star, where you can check out all our videos. If you visit one of them, let us know. Here's what you do. You go to the Near Me section of the KHU11 News app, upload 3 photos or 1 video, share where you took them, and hit upload. It is just that easy. And finally, if you have a hidden gem we need to explore, tell us about it. You can email me at bsmith@khou.com. Let me know where it is and what makes it special.